Om Shri Swami Narayana Namo Namaha. Om Shri Ghansham Maharajaya Namo Namaha. Om Shri Parabrahmane Namaha. Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Gunatito Aksharam Brahma. Bhagavan Purushottamaha. Jano Janandidam Satyam Muchyate Bhavabandhanat. Om. Welcome to swaminarayanspirituality.com and all of the related podcast and YouTube channels. This is Sachin Karnik. I want to offer my prostrations to Bhagavan Swaminarayan, all of the Paramahansas of Maharaj, all of the devotees, bhaktas, muktas, mumukshus, sadhakas, and all the incarnations, all the sages throughout the world today, yet to come in the future, who have come in the past, with obeisances and prostrations to them all. With that bhavna, we're continuing our exploration of Garada Pratham 1 Vachanamrut. And in that Vachanamrut, the second question regarding Dhyan, regarding Maya, the question is regarding Maya, and Shriji Maharaj's answer regarding Dhyan is what we're exploring further. Today, I want to actually talk a little bit more about the footnote that is there in the exposition in the BAPS app. They have done a fantastic job in giving some commentary on certain words here. And again, this is from their perspective. I'm just using that as a reference. It's open to everybody. It's a free app. So I'm giving that as a reference here and then doing exposition based on the ideas written in there in connection to all of the main ideas that are written by Shriji Maharaj himself or spoken by him in connection to many other teachers as such, right? So with that, remember the question was regarding Dhyan. The question was regarding Maya, and the answer Maharaj gave is that when a bhakta is trying to connect with the Murti, Bhagwan ni Murti nu dhyan karta je padartha adu avina avran kare tene Maya kahiye. We have been examining this one line for the last so many recordings now. And we will continue till the end of this year. That is my plan. And then we'll move to the next question if that is the will of Bhagavan. So first of all, this is a very powerful question, and it is an extraordinarily practical answer. It is about connecting with Bhagavan. We have tendency to connect. We want to connect always with each other, with people, with places, with whatever we are connecting with, right? So connection is necessary in life. In that sense, the answer given by Param Pujya Pramukha Swami Maharaj on this question, and this answer is actually recorded in a book published by the BAPS organization called Sanjeevani 2/38. This is in the footnote. You can find it in the app. I'm going to go through the answer that Swamiji has given, and we'll see where that takes us, where that helps us to understand this interesting angle that is given by Pujya Pramukh Swamiji Maharaj. So what he has stated here, I'll read it in Gujarati and then I'll translate the whole thing carefully for you. Pramukh Swami Maharaj આ વિશે સમજાવતા કહે છે. Pramukh Swami Maharaj explains regarding this question about dhyan this way. He explains it the following way. Bhagwan ne santana mahimanu gnyan etle dhyan. So the first line that is spoken here or written here is that the mahima, again this goes back to the question of mahimanu gnyan. Bhagwan and santana mahimanu gnyan. These 2 points come again and again. Bhagwan meaning Paramatma, God. And the great sages that are connected to Paramatma, who have realized all 64 qualities, complete saintliness, and their mahima. So the mahima means glory, greatness, as we have said before, their extraordinary spiritual status. That is all mahima. That wisdom of that, the jnana of that means the understanding of it, the inculcation of it, not just the understanding, but the absorption of that glory. For example, we can have glory of great saints throughout the world, but when we absorb their qualities by meditating on the qualities of the great sages, when we absorb those qualities internally, that absorption of those qualities and the adoration of those qualities with the glory of those qualities, plus the absorption in Sachin's interpretation here is Mahimanugnan. That's how I would interpret this. I think there's much more to be said about that, obviously. So Mahimanugnan of both, of God, meaning Bhagwan. And by the way, remember, when I'm using the word God, that means Bhagwan. In Vachanamrut, since we're talking about Vachanamrut, we're talking about beyond Akshara Brahma, Aksharatit. Beyond Akshar. Aksharatit means beyond Akshara Brahma. That is Purushottam Narayan, Parabrahma Narayan. The Mool Tattva, that is Paramatma, Bhagwan. So whenever the word Bhagwan comes in all of these expositions, it is referring to that Tattva based on Swami Narayan Tattva Gnyan. That is Jeev, Ishwar, Mahamaya, Akshara Brahma, Parabrahma. This is called Panchabheda. We're going to talk a lot more about that later on. But just do keep in mind, if there's anybody actually going through these recordings systematically, I would request you to take notes, make comments as you do your own study. And this is just an aid, perhaps, for anybody actually doing a thorough study of Vachanamrut or contemplating on these ideas further. But it's also most important for those who are actually trying to realize Bhagwan. Realization, not just intellectualization or simply a lot of words, right? So words are good, but we want to realize beyond. So let's understand this line a little bit more carefully. Bhagwan ne santana mahimanu gnyan itle dhyan. So Pramukh Swami Maharaj, Swami Bapa, as he's affectionately known, he's passed away now. I mean, the body has passed away, but now a different guru is there, Mahant Swamiji. But when Swamiji was there, he taught a lot. He gave a lot of exposition on lots of scriptures. Vachanamrut, Satsangi Jivan, Bhakta Chintamani. I think most of them are available. They're all in Gujarati. They're online. So maybe somebody will translate it all in the future. But the way he has explained this here, he's given the definition of dhyan this way, that mahimanu gnyan. See, it's like this, if you were to use some worldly examples, when a person gets married, just as an example, because easy to understand, there's a dating phase, maybe there's a engagement phase, and there's a marriage phase, the day of marriage. A person doesn't get married to another person unless there is so much love and affection and care and dedication and taking vows, whether it's in the Christian tradition, Jewish, or any tradition. Hindu tradition has extensive rituals and vows. Why is that? It is about building a bond, right? It's called marriage. It's called lagni. In Gujarati language, it's called lagan. And this word lagan or lagni is used in bhajans many, many times. You see, many, many bhajans use this word. Lagni, Paramahansas use this word also. Lagni can mean two things as far as I know, and I'm no expert in Gujarati by any means. I've never even studied Gujarati actually formally. But just from what I know about it, I can tell you, Lagan can mean marriage, like your, worldly marriage. And so Lagan, it can mean that. It can also mean like this connection. It can mean connection. But the word Lagni means like this continuous thinking about the one that you love. Thinking and feeling, you're just lagani lagi. There's a beautiful dhun that almost all, I think, Swaminarayan Satsangis know. Lagani lagi mune Swaminarayan naamani re. It's a beautiful bhajan. You can Google it. You can listen to it if you want. Again, most of this satsang is in Gujarati. That is a humble attempt to try to translate some of this stuff into English. But that's what lagni means. So that lagni is that marriage. It's that wanting to be with again and again and again with the one that you love. Isn't it so when people are dating or when they're about to get married and they cannot stop thinking of each other? Isn't it so? We find this example in real life. Maybe if that remains throughout life, that's, they have love for each other. That's wonderful. Usually it all fizzles out somehow for most people. That's because they haven't progressed in love. And I don't want to go into that subject here. But again, it's a question of mahima. if a bhakta or when a bhakta is trying to establish a communion bond, and I like this word communion because it's a Christian word, but it's very applicable to Vachanamrut. I think most of the Christian terminology is very, very applicable within understanding of Vachanamrut. Many people don't know that, but it's very true. So this communion is what Shriji Maharaj is talking about in terms of the Bhakta and Bhagavan Sambandha. The connection between the two, between Bhakta and Bhagavan, between Mukta and Mukteshwar. You see, between the one who is loving and the lover, the one who is loved and the lover, like this. And then Mahima also is the glory that, what is this glory? Whose devotion? Who am I connecting with? Let's use another worldly example. I think everybody knows Mr. Bill Gates, right? I think everybody knows, $100 billion man. If you are his best friend, if someone is his best friend, a very poor individual, let's say, homeless individual becomes Bill Gates' best friend. And Bill Gates says, what is mine is yours. Whatever I have, I'm putting you on all my accounts. Can you imagine this for a moment? This kind of statement is made by Shriji Maharaj in Vachanamrut. Ke jetlu rajanu rajya, etlu raninu rajya. It's like a king and the queen. Now the king is the king. King is king. King of a kingdom. No doubt. But there's not that many kings now, but there are some in the world. But nonetheless, in India, when there were lots of kings, there were, the queens also, obviously. So the Rani is the queen. Now she actually doesn't have any independent power herself. That's the way the kings were set up. But because she's married to the king, she has a tremendous amount of power, and people are going to follow her wishes and all that kind of thing. Meaning what? Whatever she says goes also. The only exception is if the king overrules her. Otherwise, the king has said to the queen, whatever is mine is yours. The kingdom is also yours. You have all kinds of powers. Yeah, no doubt, the final decision is made by the king. It's just like that. This is what Maharaj wants to give all of us. In Gujarati, they said, "Emne Akshardhamnu Rajya Apuche." He wants to give us the kingdom of Akshardham. It's like analogy, actually. Meaning what? He wants to give completely who he is to the bhakta. And this is a special mahima of Paramatma. As Swamiji talks about here, Bhagwan ne santana mahimanu gnyan etle dhyan. When we realize that Paramatma is the whole and soul, is the cause of infinite Brahma, Vishnu, Shiv, infinite Brahmand, infinite Pradhan Purush, infinite expression of Maya, Mahamaya, which we cannot imagine. Anantakoti Jivatma, Anantakoti Ishwaras. It's impossible to gain any grasp of that. This is Mahima. And even this is not the full Mahima. Everything I just mentioned here is just within the Anvay Shakti of Parabrahma. The Vyatirek Swarup is a whole different matter altogether. Only the Akshar Muktas can see that Vyatirek Swarup. Nobody else can. Everybody else is within the Anvay Shakti. The immanent power of God. It's just some connection with that power is there. It's like someone who's living 10 miles away from the surface of the sun. They're just filled with light. It's just light. They can actually see the sun completely. That the muktas are like that, liberated beings. All of us here on earth, we see the sun from a distance, and there's day and night, and there's cloudy skies, and there's so many other things. It's not a 24-hour luminosity. And there's quite a bit of distance also, and quite a bit of changes in seasons, and so many things. Because we're distant from the sun. It's like that. The more distant we are from God, the more affliction of Maya there is. The closer we go to Brahma Tattva, Akshara Tattva, Parabrahma Tattva, the closer we go to those Tattvas and to our own Atma Tattva, the influence of Maya dissipates. In fact, Shriji Maharaj has stated beautifully that when one realizes the Atma Tattva itself in its actual realization, the bhakta feels, I was never actually in Maya. Vachek ek brahm jevu avyu. That's what he stated. There's Maya mahatojane. I was never in it. And it's true. And from that point of view, from the standpoint of the Atmic realization, there is no Maya. And see, I'm just giving my commentary on this small paragraph here that has been referenced by the commentators from the Sanjeevani book that is in the that was published in the BAPS organization sometime in 1997, 1990. I remember that very well. In fact, that I remember when it was published. So anyway, Mahimanu Gnyan, Etle Dhyan. It's a beautiful way to understand Dhyan. That when we are trying to increase our intellectual knowledge about the glory and the power and the Aishwarya and the Tattva that is Parabrahma, that attempt to increase the intellectual knowledge, just from a knowledge point of view, that is the beginning step. That is why listening to spiritual discourses, study of scriptures, etc., these things are necessary. Listening to the words of the sages. What does that do? That awakens faith. It awakens faith by recognizing the cause of all causes, sarvakarana karanam. The cause of all causes is Bhagwan, and that's a matter of faith, Shraddha. But if that Shraddha is there, if that recognition of Paramatma in human form is there, in Murti form, Archa form, etc., if that recognition form in form of Sadguru is there, once that recognition is there, then there is the incorporating internally the glory that comes with that recognition, or glory of that being, like the Bill Gates example. If the homeless person doesn't recognize Bill Gates, he doesn't understand what is money, doesn't know anything at all. Even if Bill Gates puts him in all of his accounts, he still remains homeless, still remains poor, has no knowledge of money, no knowledge of what money, what $1 billion is, no knowledge of what it can do, who this person is. He just says he's the person. He says he refuses. He says, get out of here. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. I have no knowledge of what you're talking about. All I know is how to eat, drink, have sex, do this, do that, and live in this small place that I'm living in. I don't want to hear this nonsense from you. This is what we are doing, we meaning human beings, with satsanga. Most human beings are like that poor person, where Bill Gates comes to that person and the person says, get out, Bill Gates. You don't put me on your accounts. I don't know who you are. You get out from here. And I'm happy with my small hut, or happy with my small life of as living the way I am, with whatever food I have and whatever alcohol I have and drinks I have and whatever stuff that I'm doing and taking shower once every 3 days. I don't understand anything you're trying to say. He tries to explain it to him and he gets angry and upset. The poor man gets upset and angry. He throws him out, spits at him. Think about this. This is what people, the Vishay people, remember the 4 categories. Pamar, Vishay, Mumukshu, Mukta. The Vishays are doing this with Satsang. That's why that is not, they cannot understand what is Satsang at all. They cannot understand what is the Mahima of Bhagwan or any of these things, simply because their mind is trapped inside Vishay Bhog. They're blinded by Vishay Bhog. That's what the Gita is saying. Rajoguna mahashano mahapapma vidyena iha vairinam kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhava mahashano mahapapma vidyena iha vairinam. There's a verse like this. In fact, that is the verse in the Gita. The rajogun, the desires, the egotistical vasanas, these things is what the human being is absolutely immersed in. This is the dhyan of the ordinary human being. So even if you try to talk about spirituality or self-development or self-improvement and all that, they have nothing to do with that. They want to increase sensory pleasure. So Bhagwan Krishna says, leave them alone. Don't bother them. Don't disturb their small-mindedness. And I quoting that not as a criticism of anyone, But that's a fact. Krishna is speaking about this from the highest of realizations. And this is a problem that happens in the spiritual path, that you have one person, maybe in a family, who tries to take this path towards ekantik dharma, towards spirituality, and all these other people their mind is stuck in this sansar, inside this worldly experience with rajsik bhav, with vasanas, and this is all they know. And now that person who becomes a bhakta, becomes a devotee, is going to face a tremendous amount of difficulty. There are countless, I would say thousands of examples of individuals who have suffered immensely due to the fact that the family members or other people within the society have disturbed or have tried to deflect the individual or prevent the individual from worshiping God. It's happened in every tradition and every religion, and it will continue to happen. You see, that is the difficulty that every bhakta may have to go through to some extent, but not to worry. See, this is why Namah Shivaya mantra and the Navaran Maha mantra. And this is only my perspective. This is not something that the Swaminarayan sadhus are ever going to tell anybody. Whatever they're doing is on their own, I suppose. That's their perspective. They're not going to tell you what I'm about to tell you right now. And that is that Namah Shivaya mantra and the Navaran Maha mantra, Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaya Viche. If you do these two mantras and you want to take ekantik dharma path, you want to worship Krishna, you want to be a devotee of Jesus, or you want to worship Swaminarayan Bhagwan, or whichever spiritual you want to take, and you don't want trouble in your life, do these two mantras regularly and nobody will bother you. That much is for sure. That is the Mahashakti. That Mahashakti is completely in the Navaran Mahamantra. Om Aim Brim Klim Chamundaye Viche. That is the Mahamantra. And this is something that is not known to many of the Vaishnava devotees, including Swaminarayan devotees. And look, let me just back up for one moment. If you are a Krishna devotee, Ram Bhakta, Vaishnava Bhakta, ISKCON Bhakta, Swaminarayan Bhakta, if you're going to follow this path and you're having obstacles and problems, and those obstacles are not going away, do these two mantras as a support. Maharaj himself had done Vishnu Yag, had done Rudram, Chamakam many times. There's even, I heard one time that he had done at least once, maybe more, the entire Devi Yagna in Jaitalpur, because he had, there were difficulties that were being faced in what he was trying to do. So he was doing Vishnu Yag and all that stuff all the time, right? These are havans, basically. These are yagnas. But they were ahimsa yagnas. So he was a big propounder of that. And people don't know all this thing. You see, so anyway, I don't want to divert too much. All I'm trying to say is that if there's all kinds of trouble going on in spiritual path, these two mantras will help. On Mondays, do Rudra Abhishek. This is a good thing to do. Maharaj himself has said the 5 devatas are puja. Now, if you don't want to do it, it's up to you. And then just continue doing your upasana, whatever it might be. And you have to deal with whatever comes. There's going to be trouble. There's no question about that. If you start to take ekantik dharma path and have tried to develop vairagya and gnan, and you're married and you want to observe brahmacharya and all this, it becomes a disastrous thing in the lives of the devotees. And I've seen it. I won't go into the details. So many bhaktas have faced so much problem simply because there's all kinds of imbalance that occurs due to those individuals that are on a different path towards this Vishaya Bhog, Rajogun, Rajsik Bhav, and the one bhakta wants to come out of that. And, but if you stick to it, now, here's the other caveat. If a person sticks to, just for example, Swaminarayan devotees, they stick to Swaminarayan Mahamantra, they stick to Guru, they stick to Satsang, eventually things will work out, but there's going to be some trouble and suffering in the beginning. It might go on for years. Who knows how long it'll go on. I've heard stories of some of the devotees. When they become devotees, there's so much opposition. They do their personal puja in the bathroom. Think about this. That's how much trouble there is, even today. It's not easy. There's a lot of opposition from family members and others if somebody starts following this Swaminarayan Satsang, because it's a very purified level of Satsang. And it's not easy on multiple fronts. So even so many Gujarati families, they wind up having lots of problems, but they have to navigate through that. Eventually it works out, but you don't know what kind of difficulty will come. So to prevent this, Namah Shivaya mantra, even if you don't do the Navaran mantra, do Namah Shivaya mantra, and Shivji will clear up the path. This is my opinion and experience also in many ways. Otherwise, it's up to you. You do what you want. I mean, that's the way life goes, right? But yeah, Guru Nishta, no doubt about that. You can have Guru Nishta. You can say, I have my great Guru with me, Maharaj is with me, or Krishna is with me. That's fine. But if there's trouble in this that's going on, you have to deal with that somehow and continue your bhakti without any break. And that's not easy. It might take years. It might take eventually people will come along, as long as there's no serious damage done. But sometimes there is. Sometimes that can happen. My point simply here is that when a person is trying to actually connect with Paramatma, like in Swaminarayan tradition, you take these vows, right? We have to wear kanti. You have to follow the 5 big niyams. So many things are there, and give up alcohol, give up non-vegetarian food, give up all different drugs or smoking, gambling, illicit sexuality. Most devotees don't eat onions and garlic also. There's so many restrictions of this kind, and it becomes very difficult for many. So it's a matter of continuing on the path. It's not an easy path. It's not an easy path at all. It's one thing for me to talk about all this, but somebody tries to actually become a devotee of Swaminarayan. It's not an easy thing. There are so many obstacles in that, but they can be crossed. They can be crossed. This is true with any Vaishnava path. This is the Vaishnava path. So again, I don't want to go too much into that right now, but the point is that every path has its difficulties. Every path has its obstacles. And Mahima, and getting back to this subject here, I diverted a little bit there. Mahimanu Gnyan, etle dhyan. Dhyan is this Mahimanu Gnyan, the wisdom, the knowledge of the glory of Paramatma. And see, all of this thing is internal. It's not about showing off to other people, I'm this and I am that. There's no I in this at all. Most of the satsang, as it is stated by Gunatidanand Swami, Gopalan Swami, and all great sages, that one who is a very evolved being doesn't show off his or her saintly qualities, doesn't show off at all. If they're seen by others, so be it. There is no me that is showing off, right? So that's also necessary. Then there is this more meditative link where you sit with a mantra and that mantra begins to absorb within. It's the quality of the emotion that fosters the devotional link. It's not so much the quantity, although quantity is good. We do so many rounds and 16 rounds or this many rounds. It's fine to do all that, fine to keep track, and it's good to keep track. I do it also. But ultimately, it's the quality of connection, not simply a repetitive quantity. The quality of connection is everything. The quality of connection is profound in terms of its linkage with Paramatma, where there is Mahima, the glory, is absorbed inside, and the link that is established, that link is established inside that extraordinary Mahima. That's how it goes. That's how this link is established. The more deficiency a person has in Mahima, that much deficiency there is in bhakti. That much deficiency there is in absorptive communion, absorptive connection. So one who walks the path towards God, the light of God, etc., one who walks that path has to have immense shraddha that the path is real, the mantra is true, it is time tested, and the Guru, the Satpurush that has given this mantra, is enlightened, who has realized Purushottam Bhagavan. And it is with all of this conviction, mentally, emotionally, intellectually, in every way, this phenomenal conviction is the bridge into the unbroken state of dhyan. That is how the bridge is built. If we want to cross from one side to another, a river, like a massive river, like in China, I was watching some documentary recently, they have some extraordinary bridges there. It's amazing what people have constructed. Right? So to cross from one side to another, you will need a bridge. The bridge has to be built. It has to be designed. Before it can be built, it has to be designed. Before it can be designed, one has to know what to design, how to design, what is the goal of the design. This is like this in dhyan, same thing. If a bhakta wants to build a bridge, a link that is a bridge to Paramatma, that bridge is dhyan. Okay, we understood that. Now, to actually build the bridge of dhyan, I'm using an analogy here, I hope you understand. To build the bridge of dhyan, this entire paragraph of Swami Bapa, Pramukh Swamiji Maharaj, is very, very powerful. This is what he's saying here, कि भगवान ने संतना महिमानु ज्ञान एटले ध्यान. The first thing that is needed is the significance, mahima, glory, power, aishwarya, the extraordinary tattva that is Parabrahma. That one needs to recognize what is God, what is Parabrahma. And we talked about that. We started talking about it, and I went into some other areas, but about those qualities, omniscience and omnipotence, and we talked about that some 7-8 recordings back or something. I'm going to get back into that to explain this mahima idea further. But that's how this is built. That the bridge is eventually built, meaning dhyan doesn't just happen like that. There's no chance of doing unbroken dhyan. It's not going to happen until there is mahima. And mahima means the importance, significance. If just uses this analogy, if we want to build a massive bridge, like for example, take this Delaware Memorial Bridge we have here in Delaware, right? That goes from Wilmington to Pennsville, New Jersey, right? It's a double span bridge. Okay, double span bridge. And it was well designed, and that bridge is actually shown in many Algebra 1 textbooks, by the way, interestingly enough. So why should anybody build such a bridge? Because we need people to go back and forth, right? This is the idea, to go from one side to the other side. That's why. Masses of people cannot swim to the other side. Nobody can swim that huge river, the Delaware River. Actually, if you want to see sometime the Delaware River, go to Newcastle Park, the old Newcastle. You can actually walk on the banks of the Delaware River and see how huge it really is. You don't realize how big it is when you're going on that bridge. So it's like that. There is a river of Maya, not a river, ocean of Maya. This river is one analogy, but this is an ocean. We can never be able to swim across that ocean. We need either like a massive bridge, let's just use the bridge analogy, or an airplane or something like that, right? To take us across, or a steamship, cruise ship, whatever. We cannot swim ourselves. That is mahima. The mahima of Paramatma, of Bhagavan, is so foundational that is the mahima Mahima meaning the extraordinary presence of Paramatma, that of the whole and soul is Paramatma, Bhagavan. Love thy Lord with all thy heart and all thy mind. Jesus' commandment in Matthew 37. I'll try to bring in some Bible references in this. I think you'll enjoy that for people who are not familiar with the Bible. Amazing, amazing stuff is there, for us to learn from each other. Love thy Lord with all thy heart and all thy mind. And in Proverbs it says, love thy Lord with all thy heart and lean not on thy own understanding. So our own understanding is this Rajasic and Tamasic understanding. What understanding we have? We don't have any understanding. That understanding, knowledge has to come from somewhere. And it has really only one source. That is the Murti of Paramatma. It has no other source. And that comes through the sages. It's present in our Atma. It's because inside the Atma, the Tattva of the Atma is Bhagavan Purushottam. Yasya Atma Shariram, Yasya Akshara Shariram. Upanishad Shruti is this. How fantastic. How amazing. So the Atma is the body of the Paramatma. So where are we actually going to find God? Right within our own essence. This is the essence of Tattvamasi. Ayam Atma Brahma. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Prajnananam Brahma. Soham. Dasoham. Shivoham. Right? Etc. Atma and Paramatma. These are the 2 points, and this is the point that comes again and again and again throughout all scriptures of the world in their own way. So here Swamiji, meaning Pramukh Swamiji Maharaj, he states here that Bhagwan ne santana mahimanu gnyan etle dhyan. Do we have the mahima gnyan, the glory of that? It's like that poor person. Or let's put it this way, you have a child who is 7 or 8 years old, maybe 5-year-old child, and Bill Gates says that I'm going to put that child on my account. This child he has to grow up. Even he may adopt the child and all that, but that's one thing. But he says, no, you have to grow up. He cannot understand what is in front of us. This is the problem. In Satsang, in Swaminarayan Sampradaya, we say this all the time, right? We say, कि આપણે જે મળ્યું છે આપણે જ ખ્યાલ નથી. બાળકના હાથમાં ચિંતામણી. In the hand of the child is the chintamani. In the child's hand, doesn't know what to ask, what to do. You see, he'll give that chintamani rock, which is the wish-fulfilling rock, for a piece of candy. And this is what we do. We're running after the foolishness that is going on in this sansar. Rag, dvesh, hatred for each other. One versus another, one group versus another, one religion versus another, one political ideology versus another. So many battles, so many weapons, so many problems at all levels. Why is that? Why so much suffering? Who is causing this suffering? It is the lack of utilization of right energy in the right way for the right purpose. It is the abuse of Shakti. It is the abuse of Shakti. And to reconnect Shakti, that is in the brain, spinal cord, mind, etc., in the best possible way for the benefit of everybody in the world. Just one bhakta, true bhakta, pops up in the world. That person is a beacon of light for the whole world. It is like a lamp that is lit, a candle that is lit in a dark room that is in deep inside, in an underground facility, in a dark room that has remained dark for millions of years. And one candle has been lit. And now the divine, the light begins to show what is in that room and the way out of that underground bondage. This is spirituality. This is called Mahima Gnan. See, when these words that are spoken by enlightened sages like Swamiji and so many others, they've taught the same thing. The truth is only one. That this beautiful... Don't forget to take out your trash. Sorry about that. There was Alexa talking there. This beautiful statement that Mahimanu Gnan, Bhagwan ne Santana Mahimanu Gnan etle dhyan. Good, we could spend our whole life talking about that sentence. It's absolutely amazing. The more Mahima one has, it's just extraordinary what is possible. We don't realize this. Because when a bhakta links with Paramatma, the grace and krupa is such. Bhagwanni moti krupa thai che. In Garada Pratham 5, we'll be looking at this later on. That's why this is going to take the rest of this year. I'm glad I may actually spend the whole next year on this one. I don't know if I can ever get out of this, actually. Probably not be able to get out of this. That's the whole point, right? We cannot come out of this. Once we enter into Vachanamrut from any angle, from any one line only, we'll never be able to come out of it. Nobody ever has been able to. Nobody can. There's no coming out. That's the whole point. Once we enter into the Swarupa Paramatma, there's no coming out of that. The Maharaj himself has stated. He stated beautifully that in the beginning it seems difficult to be connected with Paramatma. Then it will be difficult to break the link. You'll not be able to break the link. Ke Bhagwanna Swarupma Vritti Rakvi Agri Pade. But Bhagwanna Swarupma thi Bahar Nikolvu e Agru Pade. You'll not be able to come out of that. You will not want to come out of that. Even if the worldly experience continues, it seems absolutely meaningless. Vairagyam. It's there, we do our duty, zero entanglement with everybody. Akhanda Vairagya. And we'll talk about that also by the will of the divine. Garada Pratham 2. We'll talk about that at some point. Another fantastic exploration. There's no end. I don't know if you know this actually, but in the time of Gunatitanand Swami, in the Junagadh temple, the original Swaminarayan temple, if you go there, it's there even today. There's a big, the Sabha Mandap is there where all this was going on in the past. It still goes on today. And Gunatitanand Swami was the Mahant of that temple. He stayed there for 40 plus years. I think it was like 40 years, 4 months and 4 days, something like that. It's amazing. And his, in Gujarati they say Vicharan, it's, his area of influence or area of preaching, teaching and preaching and giving blessings and all that was in 500 villages at that time. And the reason I'm telling you is about how amazing he was. That in what he had set up, it's called Satsang Chhauni, Akhado, Satsang no Akhado. He had in the Sabha Mandap different preachers set up, teachers and preachers with the scriptures like Satsangi Jivan and Hari and Vachanamrutam and so many scriptures from Swaminarayan Sampradaya and other scriptures also. He had it all set up in such a way that 24 hours this exposition on the spirituality is going on. The only break would be when there's Arati Puja to be done. But there's no break. I mean, literally there's not a second of... You can go at 2 a.m., somebody wakes up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., and they can sit in that hall and listen to the talks of God. At that time, there wasn't this kind of YouTube and internet and, now, good Lord, you put anything in YouTube and you can just keep listening, for the rest of your life on any subject, right? But that wasn't available at that time. They had to do it physically at that time. Now we can do almost everything online. Satsang no akhado. Akhanda satsang. Who has that tenacity to do this? Nishkulanand Swami, one of the great Paramahansas of Sriji Maharaj, he said, Kholi kholi ne kholiyu khara khapavada ni khotare. He says, I've seen, there are so many satsangis, so many devotees, so many bhaktas who came across his purview. He's a writer of 23 scriptures, Bhakta Chintamani and the Nishkulananda Kavya. Someday we'll talk about some of that too, See, Sachin here wants to talk about everything, but there's no way to talk about everything at one time, even though the desire is there. But just one drop at a time, that's all it is. We cannot drink the whole ocean, right? We drink a glass of water at a time, a sip at a time is good enough. Nishkulanand Swami said, Kholi kholi ne kholiyu khara, kapavalani khot re. Khara, you know what that means? It's an extraordinary statement, which I've heard, 20 years ago, and been meditating on that for myself over the years. Hopefully you'll also gain something out of this. Kap means intense longing for God. Khara kapavalani khot. Khot means deficiency of intense longing for God is there in almost everybody. Kholi ne kholiyu. I'm searching. I'm searching for one who has absolute shuddha tivra, pure mumukshutvam, as Shankaracharya ji mentioned. Tivra mumukshutvam, intense longing for liberation. Who has that? What do people want? They want more. People want three things. They want more money, they want more sex, and they want position and power. Kanchan, Kamini, Kirti. That's it. 99%, 90% or 99%, something, I don't know, but it's very high percentage. And then they are crushed by this. They get it. You can get it. You can work for it, do even spiritual sadhanas people do, or havans they do, or mantras they do, or there's all kinds of things you can do to get these things if you want them. You get it, no doubt. And it's necessary also. It's not like discounting it. But to rise above this is where this Swaminarayan Satsang is all about, the Vaishnava tradition. In fact, the entire Sanatana Dharma is about rising above these three. Now, it is only my request, anybody who really wants more foundational knowledge about Sanatana Dharma, please listen to the Nitya Daily Satsang recordings that are available on YouTube. I'm still in the process of loading all the past recordings. But you can find that's foundational to all these Swaminarayan recordings. This is very advanced stuff, that we're talking about. And even though I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can, but it's a very highly refined type of spirituality called Swaminarayan spirituality. And now just this 816-page volume 1 massive book has been published by the grace of God that he has just used me to write that. It's taken 15 years to pull that together. But this is the point. Kholi kholi ne kholiyu khara, kapavalani khotare. Who has that? Who wants that? Who wants only God? Think about it this way. We cry. How many tears have people shed crying in this materialistic world? Crying behind love affairs, crying behind property issues, crying behind physical pains, mental pains. The pain is incredible. But Ramakrishna Paramahansa stated beautifully, who cries for God? Premanand Swami. Look at the life of Premanand Swami. Premanand Swami was one of the extraordinary devotees and Paramahansas of Sriji Maharaj. Written thousands of bhajans and kirtans and poems, and is absolutely in loving communion with Bhagavan Swaminarayan. He is absolutely absorbed. These Paramahansas of Maharaj were completely lost in him. See, people, we don't know all this thing. This is the real Swaminarayan stuff, actually. They were completely absorbed in his form, the manifested human form. And they recognized that this is not just a human being or just a Sadguru or just an incarnation. He is the fountainhead of the incarnations. Sarva avatar na avatari. Now, this is a difficult thing to explain, and I will try to explain it some. And by the way, please understand, I'm not trying to preach Swaminarayan theology to make people convert or something like that. I'm just trying to present to the public the history, the background, the teachings, and what is there. You do what you want and understand the way you want. There's no insistence on my part. You understand this way or that way. I'm sharing with you what I have understood, because there's a lot of controversy and a tremendous amount of misunderstanding in the state of Gujarat and the Gujarati community itself about these ideas. And I don't want to go into that right now, but it has caused lots of problems for thousands of families also. This misunderstanding of very esoteric, high-level principles of spirituality, and then if you cannot take nuclear matter, and bring it into your house and try to cook a piece of toast with that. You cannot do that. It's just, you'll be burned alive. You try to put your hand inside the nuclear reactor. This is like this knowledge of this Vachanamrut is at certain points in the Vachanamrut, it is at the highest levels of spirituality, particularly Gunatitanand Swami's teachings and Gopalanand Swami's teachings. It is like that nuclear matter, and and if it is even slightly misunderstood, it can cause a tremendous amount of problems, and it has happened like this. It has happened in the lives of thousands of people from the time of Maharaj till today, because the spirituality of Shriji Maharaj is at such a level that you cannot bring that intensity into the general public and expect the general public to resonate with that. There has to be readiness for that. There's a question of patrata. Patrata means the readiness. You must be able to hold on to that. Otherwise, you cannot ever hold on to these ideas. It's impossible. But anyway, I don't want to go too much into all that thing, because it's a very long and complicated discussion. It's to really unfold that. My only point in simple language is that these expositions, whatever Sachin is doing, I'm trying to do it in a very simple, straightforward manner, trying to unfold this, but it is very intense spirituality. It is no ordinary level of spirituality. This thing that we're just reading right now, this one line only, Bhagwan ne santana mahimanu gnan etle dhyan. This kind of dhyan is at the highest levels. The mahima of real saint. Think about this way, saintly qualities. The 64 qualities that are there. We started some exposition on that in the Nitya Satsang. Didn't even get past the quality 11 in that. It just didn't have time to do it, actually. There are 64 qualities that Shriji Maharaj described to his mother when he was only 11 years old. He wasn't called Shriji Maharaj at that time. He was Ghansham, that was his name. He's a young boy and his mother is about to pass away. And before she passes away, he gives us this Updesham. This is Shri Hari Gita. It is called Hari Gita. It is in the Satsangi Jivan. And it is an extraordinary piece of literature, extraordinary spirituality. And in that Hari Gita, there is this list of 64 qualities. And he basically tells her that becoming attached internally, inside one's mind, to a great sage, to the saintly state, one who has a saintly state is brimming with Paramatma. What does that do? That opens the door into mukti right away. It is a direct entrance. It's a bridge. The bridge we were talking about, it's a direct link into the mukti. And that is, again, Garuda Pratham 54. There's lots of places where this is talked about. So actually building the bridge, why Pramukh Swamiji Maharaj, we said Bhagwan and his Sant, why he's talking about both of them. And he's not the only one. There are, every sadhu in the Swaminarayan Sampradaya talks about this. From Maharaj's time, this is there. And I'm just saying this again because I don't know who will listen to this in the future. That is the will of God. But this is for everybody. It's not for just any one group of people. And I'm certainly not trying to promote any one guru versus another. So please be mindful of that fact. Just want to present the spirituality of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, Shriji Maharaj. Right? So in doing so, this bridge that is talked about is possible to build in a solid way. If Sachin wants to build a solid bridge to Paramatma, to Bhagwan, to the Murti and Akshardham, if that's what Sachin really, really, truly, honestly, genuinely, with cup and with all these things, it really, truly, 100% wants to do that, recognize one sage who has all 64 qualities and recognize them and see the mahima, hold the mahima, the glory of those qualities inside. And there's one more step. And you know what that is? That's me. That entire realm of those qualities, which are brimming in that sage, that is me. In the BAPS organization now, Puja Mahant Swamiji, he has given this mantra to everyone. Aksharam aham purushottama dasosmi. You can find it on the online and everywhere. He's given this mantra. It's the essence of, this is what it means, that I am Brahman. This is the extract of the entire Upanishads. But this is how to do this. See, to go through, what are the steps to take? Read the 64 qualities. And I'll have to cover them, looks like, since I'm talking about it now. We'll have to go through them and translate them and all that at some point. They're amazing. Srimad Bhagavatam lists 39 qualities. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, has all divine qualities. They're all the same. They're defined in different ways, but it means pure saintliness. In a nutshell, it means 100% sadhuta. Total. And if there's mahima, that's me. The Swaminarayaniya path is a saintly path. Without sadhuta, there is no way that Purushottam Bhagavan that is in Akshardham you can ever get a glimpse of that tattva. It'll never happen. It will absolutely not happen. These qualities are necessary. And if we want to move into that dimension where all 24 hours there is the realization of Bhagavan Purushottam without any break, or any Ishtadevata, any avatar that one may believe in, or the forms of Devi, or whatever, whoever the Ishta is, you want to connect continuously and have Akhanda Darshan. If that's really what we want, like Ramakrishna Paramahansa wanted to see the Devi actually. My God, he was willing to do anything for that. If we want that, Sriji Maharaj has given a direct path. Find one saint who has, one sage who has all 64 qualities. If you can find one. If you cannot find one, take the 64 from different sages and bring them inside yourself, that all of those qualities are me. Not one of them is not me. And see, this is where this battle between the vasanas and the 64 qualities happens. And this number 64 has a lot of meaning in the Shaiva tradition, in the Shakti tradition. Why the 64 number is there? That's another discussion. We'll talk about that some other time. It really means that all of our internal Shakti in all the 9 chakras, it comes completely together, coalesces, and the divine power awakens from within for Ekantik Dharma. That's the extract of that. Amazing. It's absolutely, totally mind-blowing. This is, so that 64 qualities, we try to cultivate them one by one ourselves. We could not be able to do even one of them. It's that difficult. But when we attach our mind, our heart to an enlightened sage, that's why it's said here, Bhagwan ane sant na mahimanu gnyan. See, he just didn't say mahima. He said, Bhagwan ane sant na mahimanu gnyan etle dhyan. That means that is dhyan. Itle means that is the definition of dhyan. That is what is dhyan. Dhyan meaning that these 64 qualities, that's me, that's me, that's me. It's like a moment-to-moment resonance. Ahankar shatters totally. Nirmana moha jitasanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama. Chapter 15 Gita. The entire Bhagavad Gita opens from inside. It's not simply about reading the Gita and reciting. Do all that. That's karo, sab kuch karo. Ramayana, Gita, Bhagavatam, whatever. Such shastras are there. We want to get to that point. And that's why Shriji Maharaj is saying that the dhyan of the Murti. We want to get to that stage of realization where the scriptures are opened from inside as anubhav, the realization that the truth behind the scriptures, the satyam, the state that is described by the words, by the sages, and the state of the enlightened stage and state of the sages that opens inside of us, in every pore of our being. That is our goal. That is called Brahmarup Thaine Parabrahmani Bhakti, Akshar Rup Thaine Purushottamni Bhakti, Brahma Bhutaha Prasannatma na Shochiti na Kangshati. Samaha Sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. This Pujya Pramukh Swamiji Maharaj, if you listen to a lot of his recordings, he used to say this verse quite often. Quite often. Yeah, that was in his life also, and that was the teaching, right? That's what it's all about. Can we directly jump into this murti of God? Like J. Krishnamurti would say, the via negativa. Yeah, it's sure it is possible. How it is possible? Without any sadhana. Is it possible? Like, my doing sadhana. No, there's no doing sadhana. There's only jumping into realization. One step and two. There's two steps only. There's only just one step, really. Recognize the 64 qualities and their mahima. Sometimes we can say, yeah, great saints have these qualities. But you know what we do? We keep a distance with them. It's, oh, that saint is really great. Vivekananda Swami was really great. Or Aurobindo was fantastic. Or Ramana Maharishi is great. Or Jesus is great. Or, Saint Thomas Aquinas is great. Or Premanand Swami is great. Or, we love to glorify sages. Gunatitanand Swami is great. Gopalanand Swami is Ashtanga. Aha, kya mahima. You find people doing this all the time. Krishna Bhagwan, kitna mahante, kitna yete, Radhika ji, this, that. They are great, but we are not straight. We like to glorify, not inculcate. This is the deficiency again described in this answer by Shriji Maharaj. See this one line, what is in this one line? Answer of Maharaj about what is Maya and how to remove the obstruction about dhyan of the Murti. We like to glorify. We like to praise. There's so many gurus out there, so many organizations, and whatever, they may be enlightened, they may not be. That is not for us to judge. We just take good qualities from all. But there's people who are just running after gurus without trying to realize their state of realization. Running after the guru is run after the qualities of the guru. Otherwise, one can caught up in another illusion altogether. Loving gurus is necessary, but there's a distance that people maintain due to their vasanas. They said, "Oh, we are imperfect. We are this. We are just our guru will take care of everything." He will, no doubt. The great sages do if we're really deeply attached to them. But do we really want realization? We want everything except realization of God. We think that we can put Bhagwan into our whole bucket list of the things that we want to do. And is God something to be added to a bucket list? Oh, I want to take 5 trips in these different places. I want to see my great-grandchildren grow up with millions of dollars. I want to have 10 big, massive homes and 150 cars and this and that. And I also want, Bhagwan also. Just add him at the very end there. And, that's just add just one more item. Is God some item to be added to this ridiculous list like this? Sachin is speaking maybe a little harshly, but that's a foolishness that is there. People also think that I can just give large donations to religious organizations and buy my salvation. Forget about that. You get punyam, not salvation. It's a very different matter. But God is not something to be bought in some marketplace. That's not spirituality. You see, and this is our ego only. That's why Shriji Maharaj himself stated, I think it's Vachanamrut G.P.1 Pratham 23. He stated it very clearly. He stated that Mota bhage je satsang થાય છે, દેહાત્મ બુદ્ધિથી થાય છે. Sometimes this happens, and again, we love all donors and donations. It's fine. Whatever anybody wants to give without ahankar. Give without one's name being out there. But see, the ego is a very subtle, crazy thing. We don't realize what is this saintliness. Ahankar comes in so many ways. Many, many times, sadhus in quotations, they do a lot of sadhana and it's done out of ahankar. Manrupi Haduku, Garada Madhya 41. We'll look at that sometime in detail. And it happens in the Grahasthashram. They might be doing a lot of seva, financial and physical seva, and they might be they might have big positions in religious organizations. And there is some ego current that is driving the whole thing. The whole spirituality is shattered because of that ego current. It's the illusion of spirituality. It's the illusion of adhyatmic realization. We feel we are progressing, and the only thing that is happening is the ego is getting strengthened, not real spiritual progress. It's very difficult because the ahankara comes into the picture. You know what happens? Just imagine if a wealthy person gives a big donation, right, somewhere. It says, okay, I'm giving $100,000 to this. And they may do out of bhakti, no doubt. Bhakti and it's all fine. But can it be done without anybody knowing about it? That's a better thing to do. Gupta Dan, it's called. Don't let anybody know that you've given that. And people do. There are people. They do not allow their name to be announced, anybody to be known. Gupta Dan. But see how the ego works. Somebody then says, okay, I've given this secret donation. I'm something great. Immediately the ego catches the person the other way. So even if so it's not a question of name being announced or not. If it is announced, fine. If it is not announced, fine. It shouldn't make any difference. If somebody criticizes you, fine. If somebody praises you, fine. This is easy to say. Manapamana me ekata, sukha dukha me sambhav. There's a beautiful bhajan by Muktanand Swami. Haji Bhala Sadhu. Yogiji Maharaj used to sing that. It's on the thing, and many other saints have sung it also. It's a beautiful, beautiful bhajan. Haji Bhala Sadhu. And Muktanand Swami has written that what is the saintly quality? Man apaman me ekata, sukha dukha me samabhav. Jivan mein kitna sukh dukh aata hai. I speak sometimes in Hindi here for the non-Gujarati community, right? There's all kinds of happiness and distress. Sukh is happiness, dukha is distress. The oneness between the two. See, oh my God. I mean, now this reminds me of these 4 major poems written by Muktanand Swami about the qualities of the saints. So much literature is there in Swaminarayan Sampradaya on the qualities of the great sages. And it is fantastic. I mean, it is a beautiful thing. My only point is, humbly, and I'm not trying to criticize anyone. I have no right to criticize. Just trying to point out what is spirituality. And I have to be careful in doing all this too, Sachin here. This I, using this I is another problem. This pronoun I, and that's interesting. There's one organization, and I would like to really appreciate them here, which I became familiar with, one Swaminarayan organization called SMVS. I had an opportunity to meet with so many of their devotees, and it's amazing how they talk. They never use the word I. They say sevak. Sevak am kare che. Sevak. When they speak in Gujarati with each other, they don't use the word who. The who is I. Nobody does not, their Guru Parampara, not any sevak, not any pujari, they do not use that word at all. It's amazing, They always use the word sevak. When they refer to themselves in any sentence, sevak am keche, sevak ne au karo sevak. It's just extraordinary. It's absolutely extraordinary how amazing it is. And I do want to give you some references from the other organizations. I know I've been using this BAPS app, for the footnotes and all that, and I don't want anybody to feel that I'm trying to promote that particular organization, which I'm not trying to promote any organization. Whatever you're with, fine. Want to take good from all. Take good qualities from all, and the pure adhyatma is the same. Doesn't matter which path you follow. It's like this. If you put sugar can be placed in chocolate, it can be placed in muffins, it can be placed in apple pies. Sugar is only sugar. God is only one. Saintliness is only one. It can express in millions of ways. Ekam sat vipraha bahuda vadanti. Satya ek hi hai. Love is only one. Truth is only one. Consciousness is only one. God is only one. But we must have the ability, the capacity, the desire, the tenacity, and the courage to find good things from everybody. And if we cannot do that, forget about God realization. You'll never have God realization. May have status, position, may have done a lot of sadhana, may feel a lot of even certain amounts of happiness and ecstasy. Bhagwan is not going to come to us. No way. Not until we reach that stage where we can find good things in everybody. Without that one quality, There is no God realization. Doesn't matter which tradition, doesn't matter which sampradaya, which parampara, which language. It doesn't make any difference. It absolutely doesn't make any difference. A truly enlightened sage always, 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 always finds good in others, good quality. Even if the person that they're looking at has the most heinous qualities, that person will take that and turn it around and turn it into something good and wish good for that person. This is called Swaminarayan Sadhuta. I'm just calling it that because that's the standard of Sriji Maharaj. That's his standard. If you don't agree with it, argue with him. That's his standard. That's the way it is. Whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not, whether we feel that that's right or not, that doesn't make any difference. That's each to have his own opinion. But that's his standard. And that is the standard of the Paramahansas of Maharaj. And that's in my opinion, humbly, that is the ultimate standard. There is no greater standard than that. It has nothing to do with Gujarati community or Gujarati language or any of that thing. One has to go beyond all of that. Internally, the Gujarati language, culture, etc., has been blessed by the advent of Bhagavan Swaminarayan. Just like the Bengali culture was blessed by the advent of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Just like so many of the sages in the South India were blessed by so many enlightened beings and sages. They come and manifest in different places and different traditions, but they don't belong to just that one tradition or one language. But see, this is the grace and krupa that through the Gujarati language, this fantastic adhyatma has been absolutely become available. And it is going to grow. See, now there are Swaminarayan temples all over the world. So many are there. But who is Swaminarayan? What is Swaminarayan? What is the teachings? What is the power of this spiritual wisdom? It is amazing. See, Vivekananda Swami wrote 13 volumes, right? He spoke them. He wrote letters, and all that kind of stuff was written and spoken. Why is that? Because of his recognition of the enlightened state of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and by his blessings. He didn't promote the personality of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. He promoted the spirituality of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. And I understood that many years back, and that is humbly Sachin's attempt to do exactly the same thing with the spirituality of Bhagavan Swaminarayan. The personality are for his devotees. But the spirituality is for everybody. If somebody wants to be a devotee, that's okay. Mandir mein jao. There's lots of ways of going about that. That's fine. But the spirituality is for everyone. The personality is for the devotees. And if you go to, like, for example, Ramakrishna Mission, you will find, you'll easily find that there's devotional worship done towards Ramakrishna Paramahansa. But most of the sages, the way they talk and the way they explain, they don't really emphasize the personality of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. They do talk about his life and his charitra, and there are many recordings like that. But the emphasis, I think 90% from what I've seen, is on the spirituality and Vedanta and teachings and about the Brahma Tattva and all those kinds of things. That's what they mostly talk about, because it is unreasonable to expect the masses of people to worship Ramakrishna Paramahansa. It's unreasonable. And if you try to do that, it's going to create a lot of trouble. And in many ways, that has happened in the Swaminarayan Sampradaya. Somehow, so many devotees, they want to just, throw this spirituality on people's heads or throw this religious kind of stuff. No, you cannot do that. It doesn't work that way. You see, Yogiji Maharaj used to say, Pehla het karo. Have a lot of affection, then present slowly. And if somebody wants to follow Swaminarayan path, is one thing. They may want to follow another path. Let them follow. Why there has to be any kind of judgment about that? That happens a lot too in throughout Sanatana Dharma. That should never happen. That should never happen. If somebody's following another path, take good things from that path. Respect what is good there, what is necessary for us to embellish our own path. Don't try to damage somebody else's spiritual path. You see, and you will see Shikshapatri, we'll talk about that later on. Maharaj has put Shikshapatri in such a way that the Sanatana Dharma, the multiple ways the Sanatana Dharma expresses, Maharaj has coalesced it, brought it together so that each person can follow their path in the right way. There's no damage to anybody's path. There's a statement in Chikshapatri that says that one who is a Brahmin and who does the Tripunda, the 3-line, vibhuti that is on the forehead, he has said that even if you are a Swaminarayan Satsangi, you do not let that go. Now, most people don't follow that these days. They say, don't do the Tilak Chandlo. You don't need to do this, anymore. So many people say, why are you saying that? Shiji Maharaj said, if you're a Shiv Bhakta, you remain a Shiv Bhakta. You don't need to change that. And then if you want to change it, and if you want to follow, the Swaminarayan Sampradaya, and you want to follow the, in the more current way, that is up to you. But see, Maharaj maintained, at his time, he maintained the traditions that were there. My only point is, don't damage somebody else's spiritual path. It is a great sin. If someone is connecting with God in their way, this is my humble request. I don't know who will listen to this. Only Bhagwan knows. But this is coming in my mind, and I just want to put it out there, that never damage somebody else's spiritual path. Let them progress and introduce some good things from the path one might be following, and see if there's good things you can take from them. And then if you want to get into different approaches, and if they want to follow what you're doing, it's okay. But you cannot insist that everybody should do what I'm doing. It's ridiculous. And this is where a lot of trouble has come throughout the world. This insistence that you are right and I am wrong, then the ego gets into the picture and the whole thing is shattered right from the root level. Learn from each other. Grow together. Understand the importance of saintliness. Saintliness means to take good qualities from others. It doesn't mean to trash one's belief on somebody else's head. It doesn't mean that at all. That is completely contrary to the entire Vedic and Upanishadic tradition. So anyway, let's stop here for today. Otherwise, we'll not be able to stop at all. We'll continue on this further in the next recording. I do want to go into this beautiful paragraph of Pujya Pramukh Swamiji Maharaj about the Mahima of Saint and Bhagwan. And there's a couple more lines to this, and I want to spend the next recording on that one, and then try to get back into some of the other areas that are kind of left off in between, and wrap some of that stuff around, and that'll take us, all the way until the end of this year, I'm quite sure. All right, so thank you so much. Hari Om. Again, I just offer my prostrations to Bhagwan. If there's any mistakes made in this exposition, may the Lord and all the great sages have their Krupa Drishti. Sachin is nothing. There is no Sachin to begin with. These are just thoughts that are there, that have been placed by the will of the divine. Whatever is good here for the benefit of the world, may that benefit all. And whatever mistakes or deficiencies are in this, may they be removed. And with that prarthana, Om Shri Swami Narayanai Namo Namaha. Shri Sadguru Bhyo Namo Namaha.